Hi, you're watching It's Time for Your Miracle. And today we have a special surprise. Most of you are already familiar with our daughter, Abby. And Abby is now, how old are you, Abby? You can use this.
I'm 11.
She's 11 years old, and our surprise is we did it again. We did another adoption, and maybe they can zoom in on our youngest one. And would you like to tell her name, Abby? Your little sister?
Her name is Hadassah Jill Walker.
And it's spelled H-A-D-A-S-S-A-H. Some of you may be wondering, how did I come up with a name like Hadassah? Well, if you know the story of Esther, it's in the Old Testament, E-S-T-H-E-R, the book of Esther. Go to Esther chapter 2, verse 7, and you'll see the name Hadassah, H-A-D-A-S-S-A-H. And that was Esther's name, a Jewish name, before it was changed to Esther, which is a Persian name. Her original name is Hadassah. And there's 2 or 3 meanings. One is myrtle tree, and I decided not to go with that meaning. But the other one I really like, and it means victory. And in the story of Esther, she did win the victory for her Jewish people by risking her life. She was a hero, and it's a beautiful story. It's not that long. The whole book is not that long to read. You could read the whole thing in about 30 minutes or less. So I challenge you to read that sometime, the book of Esther, and that's where we got the name Hadassah. Hadassah, can you tell them you are almost 11 months old? Can you smile? I'm going to get you. Maybe they can zoom in on her mouth and see that she's getting those twofers down there. She got 2 bottom twofers, and there they are. See them down there? Your tongue's in the way. And she's got 2 coming at the top, and some, look over there at the camera. Her tongue's covering it up. Bye-bye. She says a whopping 3 words that are words we can recognize anyway. She jabbers all the time, her own language. She can say mama, dada, and uh-oh. Now she wants to use the mic. You want to say a few words to the TV land? Say hello. You can't eat it. Say I'm crawling now, and I'm standing up, and I like to eat my cereal and still my baby bottle. Mommy calls it a cup because I'm getting her used to that word. Wave bye-bye. So Abby, what is it like to have a sister?
Fun.
Fun. Just like you thought it would be? Can you say something, honey? Say bye-bye. Say uh-oh. Well, wave bye-bye because they're going to go on off the set right now while I talk to you. And Abby, I'll miss you. But in future tapings, you can come back on and even bring your violin and we can have some music. But today it's going to be just solid teaching in the next couple of weeks as well. And before I explain what we're going to be learning about today, I just want to give the address. It's Time for Your Miracle, Box 95, Mattoon, Illinois, 61938. If you have a prayer request or a testimony, or if you would like to find out more about some of the products, teaching tapes, or CDs I should say, and DVDs, you can write to that address. You can also look up our website. It's jillwalker.org or www.jillwalker.org. And recently, our ministry purchased a church in Mattoon, Illinois, on the corner of Shelby and 26th Street called the Revival Church. I had previously pastored a revival church in Lovington, Illinois, and God led our ministry, and our board voted unanimously to do this. We sowed it as a seed and gave it away to a major denomination, and they changed the name to their type of denomination. And so God opened the door for us, as we're a non-denominational ministry, for us to purchase this building debt-free. And so we are so thankful for that. And we meet every Sunday night at 6 p.m. and we still have our once-a-month healing service every last Friday night of the month at 7 p.m. For more information, you can visit www.therevivalchurch.com. The message I want to teach you today is entitled, Listen More, Talk Less, and Stay Calm. And the text of this is found in James chapter 1, verse 19. So if you have a Bible, you might want to turn there. Again, I'll repeat that. James chapter 1, verse 19. We do give away free Bibles in our ministry. And also, if you would like a free copy of my sermon notes today or teaching notes today, again, the address is Your Miracle, Box 95, Mattoon, Illinois, 61938, and we'll mail you these teaching notes absolutely free upon your request. So we're looking at James chapter 1, verse 19. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. I want to break that verse down into 3 points today. The first point is swift to hear. And on each title, I also condense that title in parentheses even less. So it says swift to hear, and in parentheses I wrote, listen more. Now you've heard this probably most of your life. We have 2 ears to hear and 1 mouth to talk. And I don't mind saying I'm in my 50s now, and if I could take the knowledge that I've learned in over 50 years and put it back inside of my head way back when I was in my even late teens, early 20s, oh my, it would have been so valuable. And one of the things I wish I could have learned at that time was to be a better listener. And actually, even lately, I'm just begging God in prayer, saying, God, just help me to be a better listener. And I must admit, at times, I've really failed in that area. And I could give you some of the reasons why. I could tell you maybe some of it was maybe my upbringing, and maybe I lived in a house where there was a lot of words and conversation and things like that. And I'm not speaking evil of any one person or trying to put a blame game there, because as adults especially, and even as older children and teenagers, we can take the responsibility ourselves. Once we find out the knowledge of what the Word says, then we need to take that responsibility and apply it in our lives. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I want you to do today. Because when we're swift to hear, then maybe we'll be slower to speak. And recently I was talking to a relative, and they told me that they were recently in the room with someone that was carrying on a lot of conversation. And someone from the medical profession came in and was talking to this other individual, and they were just talking quite a bit. And one of my relatives said, if they would have just listened a little more, then they would have received more information from the doctor. And I got to thinking about that for a day or two, thinking that is so true. Not only was it true at that moment, but it's also true in our lives. If you have a hunger to learn more, one of the secrets is just to listen more. And especially those that might have more information that you need to gain. So if we listen more, we can learn what their information is, and maybe we don't have to go through the same channels they had to go through to get that. We can receive it by just listening and taking mental notes or literal notes, and then applying that and storing that knowledge and applying that knowledge to our lives. It says in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, that men are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. And I believe oftentimes it's because people are not swift to hear. So swift to hear means listen more. Here's a few scriptures that I want to share with you. It says in Romans 10:17 that faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God. And so if you want your faith to grow, you need to hear the Word of God. Isn't that good? And today, you can go to a Christian bookstore and you can buy a lot of, I call them gadgets, but like iPod-looking things, MP3 players, still CDs. They're getting a little outdated sometimes, but there's all kinds of things you can buy, even the whole entire Bible on just a little, like looking little stick thing. I have several actually at home in different versions. You can get the entire Bible on a little stick looking gadget with headphones, and it operates either by battery or just on a charger to recharge it, and you can hear the whole entire Bible and put that little stick in your pocket, your shirt pocket or your regular jean pocket, and off you can go hearing the Word of God while you're doing errands, while you're shopping in stores. There's all kinds of creative ways you can hear the Word of God. The more Word that you have, the more knowledge you receive from the Word of God, the better off you'll be. It says in Ecclesiastes 5:1, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear. Isn't that good? And Luke 8:15 says, but on that good ground are they. This is the parable of the sower. And the good ground is the last category. That's the ground we want to be on. Not the rocky, the thorny ground, or the ground that's shallow, but we want to be on good ground. Okay? But that on the good ground are they which in an honest and good heart, having heard the word, keep it and bring forth fruit with patience. The last verse on point 1, swift to hear, listen more, is found in Proverbs chapter 15, verse 31. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. Now, the second point I want to talk about today, and we just have a few more minutes left, is the point, slow to speak. And honestly, I believe the point 1 and 2 go hand in hand, because if a person isn't swift to hear, if they are quick to speak and they're not really swift to hear, but they're doing a lot of the talking, they're not doing much listening. And I believe whether they realize it or not, and again, I just could be so embarrassed over my life because God knows I'm just believing as I come to Him in prayer often and just sit before Him and wait silently in His presence so many times to have God change me so I can be a better listener, and I can also be slower, not just in my presentation, whether I talk fast or not, but I'm talking about waiting and meditating on what I'm going to say before I say it. And a lot of times people do, as expression goes, stick their foot in their mouth. Of course, we know that's just an expression. That's not something literal people do. But what that terminology means is that they're not thinking before they speak. We need to be, as that verse says in James 1:19, slow to speak. In other words, talk less. That is so valuable. Here's some verses in the Bible that tell us that we need to talk less. In Proverbs 34:13, it says, keep thy tongue from evil and thy lips from speaking guile. Proverbs 13:3 says, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. Let me read that again. That is such a valuable verse. Proverbs 13:3, he that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life,